Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are
Waalaikumsalam.
you today?
Good. How are you?
Okay, I'm fine. Thank you. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you very much say thank you very much for willing to contribute in this session. Before go further, my name is Shadar Shahli and these are my group members.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The objective of this interview is actually to fulfill the requirement of our subject, which is professional English 2 in this semester. Okay, without delay any longer, can we start our interview session? Are you ready, Miss?
Sure. We can
Okay,
start now.
yes, Maliza. Would you like to start first?
Okay, so I'm Yusma. I want to ask some question. Firstly, can you tell us some about yourself?
Okay. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. First of all, thank you to your team as well for having me to help you for this project. A little bit about myself. My name is Nur Sahila binti Muhammad Darawi. I was born on 4th of June 1984 in Kuala Krai, Kelantan. I got my primary school education in Kelantan. Then I continue my secondary school education in Jelebu Negeri Sembilan after my parents moved there for work. When I was Form 4, I entered a boarding school, MRSM Jasin in Melaka, and finished my secondary education there. And then I managed to get a scholarship from Petronas to pursue my tertiary education in the United States in chemical engineering. And then I started my first professional work at one of the Petronas subsidiary company, which is a polymer manufacturing plant in Kerteh in 2008 as a polymer technologist, and I worked there from 2008 until 2013. Then I moved to another Petronas company, which is called back then as Rapid Project, starting in 2013 until now. Rapid Project is basically a greenfield project by Petronas to develop an integrated refinery and petrochemical company in one of the area in Johor, in Pengerang. Since joining Rapid Project in 2013, I have been assigned to various positions from commercial department to technical department. And currently, this project has been successfully completed, and the company has been formed and currently called as Pirafchem in Johor. And I am currently assuming the position as a manager in product quality for polymer products. I think that's all, a little bit about myself.
So, as a successful student back then, can you do you have some youth issue during your life and how you handle it?
Okay, youth issue. I think most of my youth or teenage life was either in the boarding school when I started my study at MRS Jasin, and then I went to the United States. So I think that's where most of my youth life or teenage life was. Issue, there are a lot of issue. I think we have gone through our youth period. Definitely there were a lot of ups and downs. I do not want to go through specific example, but what I can summarize, for me personally, teenage life was a very challenging period, whereby you started to learn about the real life, For example, if you started going to boarding school, then you started to live with people, start to understand more about the world, being independent, uh, the time where you start to move out from your comfort zone and learn about your limit, about your capability, and also finding direction in life. There's a big task to do, a lot of things to learn. So definitely a challenging period, as I said. There was a lot of ups and downs, but what kept me going personally, I stay clear on my objective and mission in life that we have set earlier, maybe since our childhood. So throughout the trouble or the challenging period, what's important for us is to always stay focused and stay true to our objective. Always have our inner strength and reassure ourselves to do the right thing. And as a teenage, I used to have a lot of favorite quotes, good positive quotes that I will use wherever I have to go through some issue or challenges in my life. Um, I think that's a good thing to do whenever we have to go through some difficulties. Then we have to pick some quotes to keep us going and motivated. And we have to have our self to know how to self comfort ourselves. We have to know our limit. It's true that we have to push up to the limit in order to challenge ourselves, but at some point we have to admit that everyone have their own limit. So we have to understand our limit and accept our limit so that we will not feel so stressed when we are not able to do or achieve something in our life. Another thing that keep me going is to stop comparing ourselves with others. We know everyone have their own good and bad in life. So what's important for us is to do what's best we can do, but not to compare ourselves too much with other people, because we know we have our own strength, our own weaknesses. So we have to work within our own strength and weaknesses. Other thing is we also need to find a good circle of friends. uh, Definitely we always need our support system, be it the family or some good friends through the difficult time. Definitely we at some point will need to get some support from people surrounding us. And also we have to train our mind to forget and move on. I think that's the last one is something very important for me personally, because for me no one can escape from making mistake, from be a failure at some point of our life. But what's important is we have to accept the mistake we've done, the failure we've done. We have to forget the mistake, learn as much as possible, and just move on. Do not think too much about the mistake. um, so I think that's how I would summarize my youth or teenage period.
What is your greatest achievement in your life? Could you describe about it?
Achievement, I would say I'm just an average person, but my personal greatest achievement that for me has had a significant impact in my life was when I was awarded a scholarship by Petronas to further my studies in the United States. I think it is a greatest achievement because the scholarship give me the opportunity to challenge myself. It's a opportunity for me for something greater in my life. So that's why I think that the scholarship was my greatest achievement. It gives me opportunity to challenge myself from my comfort zone, to learn from my failure. As I mentioned, definitely during the youth period, we make a lot of mistake. So being able to further my studies in the US allow me to do some mistake and allow me to learn from the mistakes. And also it give and provide me opportunity to work with Petronas, and I am proud to be working with the company, not necessarily looking at the monetary point of view, but for the opportunity to serve the company that contribute to Malaysia, contribute to about half of the Malaysian government revenue, and I am proud to be part of the people that able to contribute to the company. So that's for me is my greatest achievement.
So this is my last question. Can you describe yourself, your current self, using 3 words?
I would say resilience, independent, and optimistic.
Okay, that's all from me. So I will give to my partner to continue the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ismail.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask some question to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your position, did you face any difficulties back then as a student? Does not matter in your college or your school. So, could you tell us more about that?
Okay. Difficulty as a student, I think I will talk about the difficulty I have when I was in my university year. Um, I think it was a big challenge for me when I was in the United States because it is a totally new world and new environment for me. Um, I was reminded by some seniors before me about the culture shock syndrome that many of the people will encounter in their when they started to study abroad. And the culture shock can come in many forms. Different people will experience different type of culture shock. So for me personally, I also encountered culture shock during my university study. The impact to me is I feel too much of freedom compared to what I have when I was in school. As the impact, I lost discipline that I used to have when I was a student in school. Some the impact is I become lazy. I miss a lot of classes. I studied at a very last minute, and I actually fail a few subjects. I have to repeat a few subjects. That's I think is some impact of the culture shock that I might not I might or might not realize at that point. So that's the difficulty that I have to go through to be as disciplined as I used to be when I was in school.
Okay. So you said that you face any difficulties when you're in school or your university, such as lost discipline when in school, become lazy, or study last minute, repeat some paper. So how do you handle this problem while being a student? And or maybe you just ignore it, or you handle very carefully so that this problem not giving you stress?
So going back to what I mentioned previously, I go back to my inner strength. Um, I know that I have done mistake. I know at that point that the mistake has been done. Nothing can be done to not doing the mistake, but what can I do at that point of time is to correct things. So I reassure myself. I use the quote that I always hold. For example, better late than never. I reassure myself it's okay for me to realize that I have made mistake, even though it's already late, but always better late than never. Always better to have something than nothing. If I keep on doing what I used to do, then I will lose everything. So let's do something so that I will get something rather than nothing. I reassure myself to forget the past, let bygones be bygones, and do what best I can do to make things better, if not the best. So just make it better, because mistake has been done. So maybe I could not target for the best, but better is okay compared than nothing. And yeah, I think it's mostly on the inner strength. I think at some point we have to reevaluate ourselves, reassure ourselves, and talk to ourselves to wake up and not giving up. And as an impact, I managed to get a few dean's lists toward the end of the semesters of my studies.
Um, okay, this is my last question. Have you been joining any extracurricular, especially in your university?
I think I just joined a few extracurricular activities. I actively involved in Malaysian Student Association, whereby in yearly basis we will conduct a cultural show to display our heritage to the rest of the students. And I will also join the sport event. Usually will be done by the Malaysian student across the states in the United States. So there were a lot of sport activity and also talent activities. So I would also love to join that kind of activity. For example, playing futsal and also bowling. That's some of the example. Okay. Is there anything else?
Okay, Hanina, can you?
Oh, okay. I will ask about the experience as the professional. So currently you work as the product quality assurance at the Rapid Pengerang. So my question is, what is the best decision that you have made in your career?
Okay. In my career, there will be a lot of decision that will involve. But what I can say here, one of the best decision was when I decided to move from my first company in Petronas, one of the subsidiary in Petronas in Kerteh, my first working company, two other company at Rapid Project. Um, I think life was good in Kerteh. It was easy. The company was called Petlin Malaysia Sendian Berhad. Petlin Sendian Berhad. it is a small company, about 160 number of employee. Life was easy. We basically know each other because it's a relatively small company if we were to compare with other company in Petronas. So works are easy, relatively easy, because you know most of the people. It's a small company. And it has been in operation for about more than 10 years when I joined the company. So basically things are quite smooth and easy in my first company. But then I heard about a new project by Petronas to develop a new plant in Johor, and I find it interesting because it's a project starting from scratch, and I believe I could learn a lot if I join the project. So yes, I think I have learned a lot since I joined the Rapid project, and I think that's one of the best decision that I've made in my career life.
Okay, next question. What have you done in order to get your current position as the product quality assurance?
Um, I think to maybe the question is how to sustain in the company or organization. Um, because to be honest, it's not an easy job to sustain in some organization. I've been in Petronas for 12 years up to now, and I've seen a lot of people resigning, being terminated, missing in action, and a lot of other issues. So just to say, it is not an uh, easy situation for everybody. Uh, Even not easy for me myself. It has a lot of challenges. So in order to sustain, I think one of the key important element is for us to always learn and understand that learning is a never-ending process. Learning is not about just getting the degree or certificate. Beyond that, even after the graduation, when we started working, learning is a progressive thing. It will never end. Even though we have been sitting or been doing the job for quite some time, there is always new things to be learned. So I think the key to sustain in certain organization is to always learn new things. That's my tips.
Okay, they have a many issue and the challenging. So the next question. What is the most challenging and the conflict that you have faced at work, and how do you deal with it? How do you manage to overcome the problem?
Okay, challenge. Challenge or conflict, is it?
Challenge or conflicts? Yeah.
Okay. In working life, I would say the one of the most challenging issue is to handle people, because in life we have to work with people. We cannot work alone. There is no way to work alone. We always interact with people. Everything that we do will involve people. um, so handle people is very difficult. People have a lot of opinion. Certain people always think that they are right. but certain things that is not right or wrong, but maybe certain people, they are very strongly opinionated. They want their opinion to be followed by everyone. They are different attitude. People have different attitudes. But we need to work with them. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge to get people to work with us as a team. Um, how to deal with it? For me, I will observe. I will learn people attitude and try to find the similarity or the similar ground with the people. Try to connect with them, because as a human being, no matter how different we are, we will feel comfortable working with people we know. We will be comfortable working with people that have some similarity with us. So in working life, I think it's very important to get to know people, because it will make things easier for us to work with them as a team.
Oh, okay. Okay, I have a last question for me. Do you agree that professional and the personal life should be separated? And what is your opinion regarding with this matter?
I think I need more clarification. What do you mean to separate professional and personal life? Can you give me some example?
How you deal with the professional? How you deal with the people about the professionalism and the personal life? Like you work with your friend and you want to work with the profession in the professional way. Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So how to separate personal life and also professional life? Mm, I do not have specific answer for that, but I think there's always a need for that. Definitely, maybe at some point we will get close with some people from work. But maybe there are there will be some times where we need to treat our friends as a professional colleague. Um, I do not have specific answer on how to do that, but uh, yeah, definitely, there are point that we have to treat our best friend at work as a professional colleague. Um, I think as a professional, no matter what, we have to bear in mind that work is always the priority when we are at work. Outside work, yes, we can be friends with anybody we like, with any colleague that we like, but I think at work, everyone has to be professional, and everyone has to understand their role and responsibility at work. And as long as we understand our role, I think we can separate between friendship and also being professional.
Okay, so the next question regarding the experience as a professional,
Mm.
do you prefer to work independently or in a team?
I think that is not an option. Both are required. Working independently can mean that you can work with minimal supervision by your superior. For example, your superior has assigned you certain tasks. You don't wait for him to follow up, for him to ask you about the status of the work. You have to you have been assigned a work, then you have to work independently at some point, and maybe at some point you have to go back to your boss and get some advice as something positive. I see independent as you are able to do work without being pushing by someone else. You are proactive in doing tasks that has been given to you. You don't expect your boss to teach you everything that you need to do. I think it's my understanding of independent. If I have the option, definitely I would like to work alone, but I think it's not an option. I do not know about other work scenario, but um, what I have gone through since 12 years of my working experience, I do not find there is an option to work as a to work on yourself. Definitely, we will need to work as a team. I think in most of the tasks that have been assigned, there will always be requirement to get input, to get involvement from other people. And once you completed something, then you have to get agreement from people. I think almost everything will require to work as a team. If a matter of preference, definitely I would like to work by myself. It's easier, but in reality, I think it is not an option. It always team player is always required.
Next question. Do you ever think on changing your workplace after 5 or 10 years after you stay on certain place, and why?
Okay. As I mentioned previously, I have been working for 12 years, basically with the same company, with Petronas. But within 12 years, I have been changing position by 5 times already. So in average, my turnover is about 2 to 3 years. Uh, it's subjective to people. I think certain people, especially those who are specialized in certain area, then they have to be in same position for a very long time. But for myself, I think my exposure is more on being a generalist. I uh, I change position from various background, from technical to non-technical. So that's my preference to learn generally from different type of work scope, instead of being specialized in something. It's a matter of options. Maybe for certain people, they like to be specialists, but for myself, I prefer to be generalist. I prefer to have a breadth of knowledge rather than specific to certain knowledge. Uh, Changing workplace, if you ask me about changing the company, as in work outside Petronas, I do not see myself to be working outside of Petronas. I think partly maybe I've been comfortable with the company. That's first. Secondly, I think that Petronas has been part of me since I was 18 when I received the scholarship from Petronas. So I think I have to pay back the company in a way. Uh, so I do not see myself to leave the company, Petronas, in any way. Um, and lastly, I think one of the reason is I think this is a perfect environment for me working at Petronas. I have friends working outside working at Shell, ExxonMobil, or any other oil and gas company overseas at Middle East, for example. Uh, in terms of monetary, maybe they will be able to get better monetary, but the environment for Petronas is there is a balance between your work and also the monetary value. So for me, I choose to have a work-life balance, and I am comfortable with the environment that I have now in with this company. If I were to change, I would change at different division or different portfolio within Petronas for me to keep on learning new things. So definitely, I will be moving within the company.
So for the next question,
Mm.
as we know, the work must have a pressure.
Mm.
So how do you handle the pressure at work?
How to handle pressure? I think first of all, let's try to avoid the pressure. Pressure from work can come from few things that we can eliminate. For example, we certain people sometimes I myself will procrastinate, delay in doing our tasks. So if we know that there are tasks that are due, but we are not ready for that, so we will be stressed, we will be at under pressure. So always not to procrastinate, always start earlier whenever the task has been assigned to you. um, Even though sometimes the due date will not be immediate, there is a certain project that has long due date, but never do the job at last minute. It just invite pressure to yourself at some point. So that's how you need to prevent the pressure, and um, and also try your best to solve issue. Try your best means you do everything that we need to do, but at some point if we cannot do it, so do not feel stressed. Find another way. Get help from people. There's always people in the organization that will be happy to help us. So we do not be shy to get help from other people. And if we have pressure, for example, something that we cannot avoid, the best tips that I have is always separate between work and also after work life. So my motto is always after I finish my work at 6 p.m. for example, when I go back home, I do not bring problem at home. So once I leave work, then I just leave the problem at work. I do not like to think the problem at home. I do never, even though I have a lot of pressures certain times, but I never have issue to sleep well at night because I always believe that work at home, work just leave it at office. At home, you just forget about work. Just do things that can distract your mind from work, and come tomorrow morning, then you think on how to solve the issue. So it's about mindset lah. It's about um, how you control your mindset, and how you control your strength to handle problem, because problem definitely will come. So we have to have some mental strength. in order for us to be able to cope with the pressure. And another thing that I think is important is to find a hobby and spend time for your hobby, so that you will not think that work is everything, because work is definitely not everything. We work so that we can live. We do not live to work. So always do things that always find things that we like, and spend time doing things we like. Always exercising, uh, in order to help us to have a good mental strength. That's my opinion.
Okay, I'm Baizura and I have a few questions for you. Okay, can you tell us some of the book you have read in order to boost your knowledge?
Okay, there were few books. To be honest, I'm not really a book person. But I read some books. Compared to others, maybe I still have a lot reading to do, a lot more reading to do. But some of the favorite or some of the books that I have read, uh, Our Iceberg is Melting by John Cotter and Holger Redgeber. I think that was a very simple book, but impactful. And I encourage everyone to read the book as well. Very nice reading. Very simple storyline, but a lot of good message and good key points. Uh, Other books quite heavy. For example, The Rule of Work, The Rule of Management, ways to motivate yourself and others. So all this motivation book that can help you to build your inner strength and positive mindset.
And my second question, what do you think the secret behind getting to where you have gotten to?
Okay. I think most of it I have mentioned earlier. Maybe I would recap. Uh, the secrets from for me personally, to to be successful in everything we are doing, is to have a good inner strength, to always know how to motivate ourselves. We have to have a positive mindset. For example, as I mentioned, we have to know how to differentiate work and also personal life. Always be positive. We have problem, then we always have to handle the problem in a positive way. Uh, Another thing is about accepting ourselves, and do not compare with other people. Um, there are a lot of pressure coming from peer, from family, a lot of peer pressure, for example. Um, so for me, it's about accepting who we are. We have to know our limit. We have to know our weaknesses, our strength, and make peace with our weaknesses. If we compare, if we have too high expectation, I think it just make ourselves at under pressure. For me, I do not have high expectation. uh, for me, I want to push my limit at some point, but if I fail, then I know where my limit is, and I accept the limit. I just accept, and not to say that I do not do something to improve myself. uh, I at first I will try to push the limit, but I always have in my mind, if I fail, then it means that certain things not meant to be for me. Okay. So it's go back to accepting ourselves, and do not compare ourselves with other people. because we have our own strength, we have our own weaknesses. So it's important for us to learn to accept ourselves. And the third thing I think is on learning. Never be lazy to learn. Even we have gotten our degree, our certificate, and so on. Even we have being offered a position that we like, a job we like, but never stop learning, because even though we are working, learning is always a requirement for us to progress.
And the next question, what the other ambition will you pursue if you are not working as a product quality assurance engineer?
Okay, if I were not an engineer, actually my first real ambition was to be an accountant. If I may go back, I still want to be an accountant. If I can change the time, I hope that I would actually pursue my degree in accounting instead of in engineering. That's my ambition.
Okay, and my last question, uh, could you give us some advice on finding job after we grade?
Okay. So advice to the team. I think for the employer, what's they are looking for people, if they want to hire people to join their company. What's the most important thing for me, beside the qualification, the academic qualification, is the communication skill. That's why we have interview. Interview is not really to see whether or not you are a good student, because you already have that in your resume. You already mentioned your pointer, your academic qualification is already in the resume. Basically, if you were called in the interview, means that you've passed the academic expectation at some point. But the intention for the interview is, for me, is to assess your communication skill. So it's important from now on. I think most of you is already in your second or third year, right? Second or third year. So I think it's a good time for you to start planning on how to improve our communication skill, especially in English. Like it or not, even though I myself, I'm hoping that we are like Japanese or Korean, where we use our own national language in our corporate life. But like it or not, in Malaysia, big company, they will use English as a main communication. So like it or not, we have to take up the challenge. We have to prepare ourselves. uh, we could not run away, because English is definitely a requirement, especially if you are targeting to go to a big corporation. So English is first thing. So there's a lot of way to improve English. Something from free, or some maybe you can get certain maybe we can you can enroll in certain professional English classes, but it can be from free to some require some amount of money. But there is always a way to improve our skill, based on what we can do. If we could not spend for that, we can have, or we always can have a grow a group of people to for example, you can have a English group with your teammates, with your college mates, practice and practice communicating in English, as well as start reading English books. Because I've known a lot of people in the organization with very good English, very good communication in English. They graduated from local university, but they have very good English. Their secret is they read a lot of books. Books is not expensive. We can always find used books. We can borrow books from the library. I think it's not an expensive um, exercise to be done. So that's, I think, my biggest advice is on the communication. Second, on the confidence level, so keep practicing on communication with people, involved with a lot of activity to help boost our confidence level, because that what the employer want to see during the interview. um, and also mindset, uh, always have a positive mindset. For example, as an employee, we always have to work with people, so we always need to be or to have positive mindset in order to work as a team. So three things, I think, my advice: first on the communication, second on the confident level, and the third one is on the um, attitude or mindset. Okay, I think that's all.
I think that's all a question from us. Honestly, I really like your opinion, your advice, your some tips to us during this interview period. So thank you so much for spending your time tonight to be interviewed with us. So we know that you're such a successful woman, not just in your life, but also in your career. Uh, so we also learned that how you handle the people, how you face your problem from school until now, until you're good in your position, especially in your career. Because to get a job in under Petronas is quite tough, and you're such a lucky person uh, to get a job under the Petronas. So can you give to us some tips how to be such an inspiration to be a successful person like you. So with those words that you give, we hope that we can learn and take your inspiration to be a successful person like you.
Okay. Tips, I think most of the I have given most of the tips during my previous answer. Maybe I would recap. Uh, as I mentioned, I'm not highly successful person. I'm average person. Uh, but I would like to give advice to the young generation. To recap basically what I have been saying previously, um, problem will always come at any point of our life, during study, at work. We cannot run away from problem. So that's why I think it's important to know our limit. If we think that we could not do it, we could not take it, we cannot solve the problem, then maybe it's a time for us to uh, find an alternative. But do not pressure yourself, because for me, it's good to stretch our limit, but at some point we have to know our own weaknesses and our own strength. Maybe certain people can achieve certain things, but if we not able to achieve what other people achieve, I think it's okay. I as I mentioned, I do not like to put myself under too much of pressure. If we are too ambitious, then we just put ourselves under pressure. So for me is try to push your limit, but after you fail, then you have to establish where your limit are and try to work within your own strength and weaknesses. But bear in mind that if we fail, then there will always other way to success in life. I have people uh, who also got scholarship from Petronas and pursue study at the US, for example. I have few friends who did not manage to graduate. At some point, people fail. There are some people who managed to graduate but didn't able to get the offer to work with Petronas. So maybe they were down at that point, but they were now a successful entrepreneur. They started their own business and they became successful. So there is always a way to be successful. There is no one way. There is always multiple ways to be successful. So I think what's important is do not put too much stress on ourselves. Just do what best we can do. If we fail, then let's find another alternative. What's important is we have to be happy in our life, because no matter how successful we are, if we are not happy, then there is no no value for that. So I think that's my tips.
Thank you. Thank you so much.